the Mega Man franchise, home to some of the best side-scrollers on the NES and Super Nintendo, as well as a myriad of spin-offs. Games like Legends and Battle Network have left their impact on the Mega Man fandom, but one was left in the dust.
We are talking about the lost son, the gem hidden between the rocks, the candy on the bottom of the piñata, the
Get to the point already.
Megaman Starforce, baby! Renegade and I both had the pleasure of playing through this niche little series, and upon finishing it, we were both delighted. It was a Mega Man experience unlike any other, with tension, lovable characters, and a solid overarching story with a good beginning and a conclusive end. A privilege Mega Man games aren't all that familiar with. Yet not many people have heard, yet alone played these games. So why is that, Renna?
There's probably a few reasons why, but before I give an answer to that, I feel it's best to look over this trilogy and just show what makes these games worth talking about. If you played Smash Bros. And wondered who was that anime-esque looking Mega Man character off to the side during Rock's final Smash, well, these are his games of origin. One of the more obscure Mega Man series that had its run during the DS era.
While having many similarities to the Battle Network series, right down to some of the main character designs, Starforce is an evolution on the Battle Network concept. Stylistically and story-wise, it feels like its own thing, with a unique setting and characters that function differently from their Battle Network counterparts.
Taking place 200 years after Battle Network ended, the world has likewise evolved from technology running on the internet to radio wave-based technology, going for a more sci-fi feel. The world has advanced in technological leaps, but also gained new problems that a young depressed kid and an alien from outer space are left to fix.
The tag team duo of the story features Geostellar, a reclusive young boy who lost his dad because of a space accident, and Omegasis, a bad-tempered alien from the planet FM, who might have some connection to the previously mentioned missing dad. The two are thus bound by fate and together form the awesome icon that is Mega Man! Oh yeah.
But enough about that whole mystery stuff. Omegasis stole a MacGuffin from the planet FM, and because of that, a rogues gallery of bosses followed him to Earth, thus beginning the interstellar adventures of Mega Man Starforce. Since these are RPGs, it's best to talk about the foundation of these games, that being the story and characters.
And we have some good boys and girls on display right here. Let's start off with the central figure of this story, the one everything revolves around. The hero, destined to vanquish the darkness. He who is named...
Best character, 10 out of 10.
But yeah, Geostellar. Unlike the optimistic and cheerful Len from Battle Network, Geo's view on life isn't that positive. The kid lost his dad when he was young, and the traumatic experience have left him deeply scarred, developing a fear of people and consequently the world which they inhabit. The only time he actually goes outside is on starry nights to gaze upon the stars, praying his father would still be alive and would someday return home to him.
It seems like no one on Earth can help Geo out of this rut he's found himself in. Until one night, something strange happened. I wish things would get better.
Well kids, here's a fucking asteroid!
He meets up with an alien named Omegasis, fights off some viruses, and thus their many adventures begin.
As the story progresses, we see Geo learn about the importance of social relationships by opening up to the people around him, causing him to turn more and more into the blue valiant hero we all adore. Yet instead of a complete change of attitude, we see a gradual improvement over his journey, each game teaching him something new and thus allowing him to grow as a person.
The theme of social relationships goes to the villains as well, who contrast the previous sub-series by being in the same vulnerable position as Geo, and after their defeat are helped in some way to become better people. Or whatever that one incident with Taurus Flame was about. And while there were some pure evil villains in the later games, the overall theme of good people being put into bad situations and extending a hand to help them is one that is seen all throughout the trilogy.
Something that I also want to address about those villains is how their designs just look phenomenal. Each game in the franchise has its own theme to draw inspiration from. The first one is constellations, the second one is mythical characters, and the third one is centered around cards. All motifs that I find really cool when used correctly. And it is used correctly here, as the game features some of the most stunning and creative boss designs in the Mega Man series. My personal favorites being Libra Skills, Rogue and Queen Tia. Rogue looks especially awesome with his purple and black color scheme, and in Star Wars 3 they even gave this guy a sword, so like... all of my yes!
Along with the theming, I also like how varied all the designs are between one another. Even taking two bosses with the same elemental properties, you rarely see any overlapping designs, which is sadly a pitfall that the classic and to some extent the X series fell into. Oh, here's a fire-themed boss, but it's a deer this time!
It's bedtime, Bambi.
What helps the story move along are some solid side characters that each continue the theme of flawed people growing throughout the story.
The main side character and best girl, Don't at Me, goes through a similar loneliness as Gio, and seeing her arc play out, with her teaching Gio about the importance of friendship, and Gio being there for her when she most needed him, makes for a really touching and sweet story. A relationship as good as these two I haven't seen in a long time. Then we also have Luna, who acts like a natural born leader, but has her own moments of vulnerability that she likewise needs to overcome.
Then there's Bud, who's just there. He's cool though. And going on the further end of the spectrum is Patrick/Ray, who in contrast to Gio shutting people out, we have Patrick, whom actively hurts the people around him as a side effect of his trauma. The sequels have more characters that vary in quality, but they all carry the theme of flawed people getting their hands on power, and through the conflict get the chance to grow as people, or fall because of it.
Okay, now we actually go to the video game part of this video game review. So why is it worth playing?
Like its Battle Network predecessor, Starforce has a pretty solid battle system. The weakness exploits from the other Mega Man games are intact here, and it's still fun to take down enemies and bosses.
Where Starforce differentiates itself from Battle Network is in the 3D layout of the battlefields. By shifting the perspective of the player from a third-person overseer in Battle Network to somewhat of a first-person view, Starforce's combat feels incredibly more dynamic. Projectiles shoot towards the player, enemies get right up in your face, and the minimal room to work with creates an increasingly hard, stressful, but fair challenge.
Then there are little additions, like the lock-on system that speed up combat and the camera movement to emphasize the impact of attacks.
They are small additions, but having them around make the game so much more satisfying. Starforce's story isn't one of the most impressive ones compared to other JRPGs, but it's a very touching one, a very human one, with a lot of standout moments.
With one thing going from the narrative is the fact that unlike some games, like Mega Man Legends, is the fact that it actually has a satisfying ending. Gio has a fulfilling conclusion to his arc, and the last few opponents Mega Man faces against feel like the series' peak.
Even though we would love another Starforce game, and deep down we would really love it, we know that Gio's journey has come to an end. And it was a really awesome journey to take part in.
From the very beginning, Mega Man has always been about its solid lineup of bosses, and Starforce does not disappoint. Each of them have some very fun, creative, and challenging battles. A few standouts being Wolf Woods, Taurus Fire, Gemini Spark, Solo, Jack Corvus, Dread Joker, Spade Magnus, Terra Condor,
and of course the best of the best, the Crab. You think I'm kidding, but this guy's actually... If you thought you were done with the game after beating the final boss, oh boy. So each Starforce game has this little thing called post-game bosses, which are bosses, but ascended to fucking godhood.
Not only do we have powered up versions of previous bosses, but the post-game area includes a few original ones, including one of your allies not holding back this time, a Roman gladiator, Mr. I'm fine and willing to kill you, and the most absurdly difficult boss in this franchise. No questions asked.
Wait, how difficult?
I said no questions asked!
But Renegade, why was it overlooked?
1. Never call me that again. 2. I don't have a definitive answer, but I do have some educated guesses as to why. For starters, it feels like a long time ago, but there was an era where Capcom thought they could do no wrong, like asking customers to pay for DLC that was already on the disc, and selling us 500 different types of Mega Man games in a short period of time. Starforce, looking so similar to Battle Network, might have also played as a factor into its downfall, seeing as 6 games in, and I wouldn't be surprised if Battle Network fans had their fill. Not helping is that the sequels to Starforce didn't radically change between entries, adding to the potential feeling of burnout.
Ah well, at least we got 3 solid games out of it, so that's a thing.
Actually more like 7, but who cares. If you find this game anywhere for cheap, or it gets re-released on the Switch, similar to that Ace Attorney port, then
Spend your life savings, sell the house, sacrifice the children!
Then you should go for it. This has been Renedoodle signing out. Wait, what? Renedoodle. Dang it, Soul!